Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Wherever on the world, this is VOS or Mohammed Shilon coming to now via VOS from the United States. As usual, this was Sunday afternoon program, which will be Sunday night program in Freetown. And depending on which side of people in there, it can even be later than Freetown. So welcome back to VOS television. So today na October 12, 2025, and me and my co-host, Mr. Victor Mengot, are on board today together trying to present. A lot of times we want to talk about things and with the trend and certain issues them we good or bad we like for touch on sometimes. So we get a general heading today. We will say we just call them shaping. Sierra Leoneans abroad are shaping policy, investments, and national development. So we'll probably discuss how and why it's necessary for Sierra Leoneans abroad or out of the country, the diasporas then generally could call we with the out of the country, for why it's important that the government or the politicians them encourage more and more of we for go back home and for make it clear that everybody cannot go into politics and go into parliament. And we do know there are lots of Sierra Leoneans that want to go home, wanted to go back home with ideas. Some of them they go back home and they go open businesses. So the government need for encourage more and more of that trendy, because at the end of the day, a lot of countries, if you look Indonesia, Malaysia, India, China, a good many of them citizens will come abroad when they qualify. Japan, they all good many of them they go back for contribute to nation building. So any government or any country we think they can do without the one that would all come abroad, would have left the country for a period of time, we want to bring ideas back. And people are not going to come home with degrees. They're not going to come up with a university education or qualification. No. The one that would come with book learning, they make a minute fraction of what a country needs to develop. The vast majority of people and the experience will not pick up from outside the country, which seem to be very successful. And those ideas, because don't not forget, say progress the ideas mostly, ideas now make people in progress. So now when I know the general trend, I need not introduce my co-host, Mr. Mengot. He will do that himself. So this is now from VOS television broadcasting platforms. So then the carry we on a lot of platforms. YouTube, number one. And this broadcasting what we do now may not be carried out instantly as we talk, but in a matter of minutes or in less than an hour, it will be on YouTube for sure. If we're not being carried live as now that we talk, then we carry on Facebook, on VOS television. If you go on Facebook, you will be able to get we. Then we get X, the platform X, when I be Twitter before. You go on VOS television also, you will be able to get we. Then if you go on the website, the VOS website, just go on www.vostelevision.com. You should be able to get we. Then if you also go on trying to catch you on the radio get two components. Number one, you get for download the app. And for download the app, And for download the app, you get for be able for go now the Google Play Store, or you get for go now the Apple App Store, download the app for be able to get we. Otherwise, you're not going able, because we radio station, you're not going able to reach we. So it's important. So the control room just in fact informed me that the show is now live on all our platforms. So as we present the show now, it is live. So those of you who want to catch it on the platforms then that I mentioned, you will see them live. So VOS Radio, you can go to vosradio.com. You should be able for Gateway. And then, of course, the VOS, you go for go now, download the app. If you not download the app, you're not able to get free. Then we also get the VOS Diaspora Helping Hand, when a non-profit organization, that non-profit organization there. Now, if you go on vosdiaspora.org, vosdiaspora.org, you will be able to reach we also. And that now a non-profit organization for just give scholarship to picking them, where they try in a school, we get the motivation and get the mental acuity or mental fitness, or smart enough for be able to do well in a school, but they not get the means, financial means by which they can stay in school because their parents cannot afford it. So this is which in the vsdiaspora.org non-profit organization stand for. And we try to encourage folks them for make some contribution, no matter how large or small, for enable we for support them beginning the Owango school, for make them be able for at least stay the course. Okay, so these are some of the, of course, when I know the rule also for say in a live show, besides us being carried live on the platforms that I just mentioned, YouTube, Facebook, X, or Twitter, the radio station. When I also know say na active show. So it's interactive in the sense that as we are talking, you can call in or send in comments that will be read online, or that if you call in, you will be heard online, and on the program for you expressing your views. So we strongly encourage people in for call. If you get any suggestions by way of agreement, disagreement, difference in opinion, just call in so you will be able to reach me. Now, the number, now the VOS WhatsApp number for call. We don't get rid of all the other numbers then. So the universal number and the VOS WhatsApp number, we in 1 or +1 343 997 5828. 1 343 997 5828. So we strongly encourage you to call. Of course, the radio station, if I had not mentioned it, 91.9 FM. 91.9 FM. But please download the apps for be able to get the radio station. So let me pass now over to my co-host. We go introduce himself, and then just tell we all what are the topics that we'll cover today, and we'll take them one by one. So the lines are open. Once we start discussing the issues, the lines are open, and feel free to call at any time. And let me also remind people that this is just a 2-hour show. So we get a specific time where it end. Therefore, if you get something in mind to talk about or contribute, go ahead and call as soon as possible. So we'll be so we'll go able to reach you. Let me put an away there. So to you, Mr. Mengot.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Shillon. And we fumble them, we don't come back. I mean, this viewers now a global platform. And why they call it a global platform? We get with controller, the Canada, me co-host, the America, me the UK. They will also make it possible for let people and listen to we through radio network na salon. So they talk about 3 continents. But all of a sudden, we want to continue what we've been start last week. This diaspora contribution. Beaucoup people can get different ideas about the diaspora because we in the diaspora and give it beaucoup name. One time we didn't call it JC. The other time they call it Tusim. Then you get some other way they go call Blanchcam. They go get Retoni. But we all get one thing in common. We all Sierra Leoneans. We all care about the country. And we get a lot for give back to society. The 2 presenters at this show, we can boastfully say, Mr. Shillon being in America, me being in England, together we get a century of expertise and experience. Now 2 different areas of the world, we mean a lot to we. Me being in England, when they colonize we, and him being in America, when one of the areas we get the largest amount of Sierra Leoneans. So what in this diaspora thing all come about? What you want to talk about now? Let's start 1. Recently, we don't see the government, they go all out of the way for engage diaspora. Before the United Nations General Assembly, we just take place, we've been getting a diaspora conference in Canada, where the chief minister been go, the first lady been go, with other people them. Then they try for see how you can get diasporas from Canada and also who Canadian businesses through diaspora, because we're all ambassadors in our own right. Then after that, we see the civic engagement in America. When a day we be not talk about some of them last week. When a day the government go talk about the coming back with the railways. We know so we start that discussion there last week, the whole of this week. Even the media outlet in our salon don't take up on now. People then they ask about how is it done. It in good way government they tell all here. Then at that same meeting there, the Minister of Transport been talk about, say then they review this $25 tax, that airport security tax, where they pay in and out. Because we in the diaspora, we know say, we always talk say Sierra Leone is very expensive for travel go to compared to other countries then. So what can the government do about it? So one look at the whole airport sector with aviation. We get issues them, how would they manage the airport? Because now the management structure and the agreement we don't sign, now make then cost you all the person to we. So we get for deal with that issue there. Then would they look forward futuristically, would they look forward to this diaspora investment in the UK? Because the investment conference that the chief minister they come is on Wednesday, the 15th. And we will round them up or say when President Bio come, inaugural speech in parliament, he gets a whole section where he devote to diaspora. And he gets 5-point plan 7 years ago. So we'll round up for see how well he don't fulfill that 5-point plan there. And if you're not doing it, what you not do it, let's see how we can make suggestions as to how government go involve the diaspora. So let's start first with this first one. We're very important. Where I get co-host there, we get experience in this master. I get very, very experience. This issue of Recently, where we foreign minister do announce say Salon, he as foreign minister, they don't set a committee. They call it a tripartite committee, but law make them plain. This tripartite is different from the tripartite where we they talk about election. The tripartite committee where in don't set up, now the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, now they lead them, supported by National Civic Registration Authority and Immigration. What's in that committee there? That committee then for look into the issue of overstayers in America. Salon government say the American government may not complain, say they not make it easy for Sierra Leoneans the way don't overstay their visa for let them take them back to the country. And government also they say, well, some of them people here they get a lot of experience with the cash here. We want to make it easy for let them go able to come back. But we want to look at the legal implication of that. Waiting a real mandate. Is it something we for just jump at? Or how do they affect the rights of Sierra Leoneans who are covered by international convention? So I go passing over to my co-host, Lord, deal with that first topic there. This announcement where the Minister of Foreign Affairs don't say for set up this 3-man committee or 3-agency committee or tripartite committee as distinct from the one where they talk about elections for look at this issue. Because then they say, why the government want to look into this issue? Because the American government, they complain, say they know they cooperate. And then they make some people, they know they get visa. So they want to let help the American government with their overstayer so that other Sierra Leoneans go able to travel. So I go left and there and left the expert and my colleague, like go into in details and explain it for you now. And in America where they listen, and then I know what's in rights and what's in the government don't decide for do. And whether or not the government in your role for play in this whole process. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mengot. Again, the setting up of a committee to deal with overstayed Sierra Leoneans them in the United States. It hard to understand our Sierra Leone government. Well, number one, let backtrack. Why is it necessary to set up a committee for deal with the issue of overstay, Sierra Leoneans and with the overstay in the United States in particular? Why should a whole committee be set up just to deal with that? It now do make much sense to a lot of us, but maybe if the minister or the ministry no mind for take the time out for explain to we. Number one, we already have an existing Ministry of Foreign Affairs that should govern or cover all the areas here. Why is it necessary to form a committee dealing with strictly overstayed Sierra Leoneans in the United States? Why is it with government the responsibility for deal with that issue? If somebody come out in Sierra Leone, a kind of America, he overstaying visa. Watching at the government in Sierra Leone, they have responsibility about visa overstay in America. I don't think they get any hands there. They not get any responsibility there. The only thing, the obligation where we get, if someone is being deported, someone of Sierra Leonean nationality, and they want to deport them, it is true that the person cannot travel internationally without a passport of a country of which presumably he's a citizen. So to travel, you need, which you can call laissez-passer, so international travel document, or you need a passport where they show you national identification and the authorization for you for go beyond the boundary of your country to another country or beyond the boundary of countries. So, but other than that, it's hard to understand why a committee has to be formed. A committee. And then, if I may ask, this committee wouldn't be formed and say high level. I don't see much job description there that could make it so high level. But if they get a committee within the form, when a high level committee, what makes them high level? What power of persuasion do they have? What can they do that the law already doesn't provide for deportees? And why should we, government, shoulder the responsibility of trying to keep track of Sierra Leoneans who are abroad in violation of the country where they did the immigration law? Why does that become we on law, we on responsibility? It's hard for me to understand. I mean, it's unheard of. Now the country where people now when I get the country where people and they where they overstay now on a responsibility for monitor those people, not to we on, because with all the problems we will get in Sierra Leone, why are we even extending ourselves to that extent? Now, it may be with the try for then at the good side of the United States, so with the try for do what they not ask we for do. But let me remind the government back home, in doing so, you run the risk of jeopardizing Sierra Leoneans and other foreign country, depending on what you want to embark on doing. Are you people going to become informants, forget information on Sierra Leoneans them and pass on to the country within they? And if so, when they violate that country in law, because every foreigner in this country, in America, they are covered equally by the same law we cover citizens. Foreigners are entitled to due process. Illegal or not, the law doesn't change. As long as you are within the borders of the United States, you get constitutional protection. Citizens are no more protected than you, the illegal alien. The only thing is that you don't get certain civil rights in terms of certain benefits or the right to vote or, those kind of things, or for participating in demonstration against the government, But if you are, even that, if you are caught as an illegal demonstrating, if you are not in violation of any statutory law, there is hardly anything to do with you. But when we, your government, don't make a policy and make a policy for work, I'll go appreciate, let the government tell with this high level committee within the form, we'll go deal with Sierra Leoneans that would overstay. What do they have in mind that this committee will be doing? And is this committee being formed? Are they being paid, or is it free? Is it voluntary? Because if they are being paid, it's a waste of public funds. If they are not being paid, well, more power to them. I give them credit, but I think it's solely and wholly unnecessary. And because for them to be useful to the United States, as to people when from Sierra Leone will overstay, then get for snoop and tell on certain Sierra Leoneans of whom they may not even have sufficient information for tell the current American government anything about them people here, because you know the money to them. When they left Sierra Leone, how do you keep up with them? How do you know where they are? And if we want to do all of that, then when I go for begin violate the people and rights back home, just imagine if you're there abroad, your country, they keep track of you, what you do in another country, who's you live, what are you doing? I mean, what useful purpose is served by we own country doing that? It's all I'm saying. And the United States get the capability in every shape, in every way, in every form, for monitor what you will try for say we want for do. And it would be nice for know if the United States ask you about that, or now we just try for they fall on the good side, for try for say, oh, we would show them say we do this, we do that. But let me remind people and for say, if they be restricted with visa or visa issuance to Sierra Leoneans them, it is premature to conclude that it was because Sierra Leone in the overstay. there could have been, or there could be, a variety of reasons, some of which is we've been known of late to be trafficking heavy drugs. I don't think that would be of less concern to America uh, uh, than people them overstowing. I think they will put that at the top of the list because illegal drug trafficking is a no-no in almost every country in the world. So I cannot see them putting the one with Sierra Leone, the kind of law abiding, other than they overstayed and not committing any crime, at the top of the priority list. I can't see them putting those Sierra Leoneans at the top of the list over people where they traffic drugs in and out of Sierra Leone. So I think it's wrong for them to just conclude, say, oh, they may restrict with traveling because of overstaying in America. So, and there are a lot of laws that will govern deportation. So I don't want to get into that in the United States in terms of people being deported, but by law, you have to deport people in the country where they claim for and come out. So it would be nice if we could find a way where we go, maybe if they can tell us some ingenious way where the government will come up with, we then go tell the world that we know 10, 15, 20 Sierra Leoneans, then a country X, then go there, so and so them. And as far as we know, then them don't reach for it and come back. And then the other question is, what's the urge of wanting Sierra Leoneans to come back? It's not like there's a job there awaiting them. Some countries, that's the way it is. Countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, you hardly see a lot of them abroad because they can be absorbed into the economies, the respective economies when they go back home with competitive or on competitive pay scale. So you get a lot of people, Malaysians, Indonesians, and so on, when they finish their education, a lot of them go back home because they are being paid well. So some of them, if we urge people for come, if we want to let people know overseas in people country, let us set the groundwork, let us set the foundation by which we'll not even get for monitor them, they will come as soon as possible. Let me just, as I continue before I pass it over to my co-host, let me read a comment. What will government of Sierra Leone provide for overstayers in the U.S. when young people are perishing from drug use brought in by their partners? The interest of government is the incentive to be received from Trump. That could be. Maybe there is some financial reward for Snoop or Sierra Leonean government for Snoop on Sierra Leoneans abroad. I don't know. But I would like to know what's in the interest. Why is that so important among all the other things that we'll get to do? That we get a high level committee. And why is a committee necessary? Why aren't the three ministries able to put together whatever department or section to handle immigration? Because this sounds to me like immigration anyway. So you get the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you get the Civic Registration Ministry, you get immigration. They should be able to come up with ideas already. I don't think a committee is necessary for that. They should just come up with a policy, which should be primarily the policy of the Foreign Ministry. But other than that, we'll get jurisdictional problem. Jurisdictional problem in the sense that with Foreign Ministry, with Civic Registration, with Immigration Department, now get no power beyond the boundaries of Sierra Leone as to who stays or overstay. Nor is it a violation of any law in Sierra Leone that if you go out of Sierra Leone, you get to come back at a certain time or date. There are no such laws in Sierra Leone. You can carry anything you want. The country where you go, now then your responsibility for ensure that you stay within the time frame where they allow you for staying in the country. So this is an unnecessary exercise And really, it's a waste of government time and money if people are being paid for the committee that they're talking about setting up. So that said, let me pass on over to my co-host, Mr. Mengo, to see if he has anything else to add to it. Back to you, Mr.
Well,
Mengo.
thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think say let's put her in context. Happy where you don't make and so and all lengthening. Waiting can cause the problem, as you say, because before I come UK years ago, I used to work at the airport. And I don't dare in a situation where they repatriate certain Sierra Leoneans, they will go tongue. When they reach, the man say no today, come out. So Salon government say, well, we not go accept them in, okay, and go back. I think say that person for being Germany those days. So not today deportation. In the case of America, recently they don't send. There was an announcement say they don't send 40 Sierra Leoneans and go back, and they say they get another almost 1,000 or more where they overstay. So the problem is some of them people then they will not overstay. Certain them passport they expire, or they don't lost them passport, because when immigration contact them, they go say they don't lost them passport. But if they get a name and they interview them, that the onus is on them when they are actually accosted by ICE. When I will get now in America, I think say they call it ICE, and ICE will not say that we're very cold. So now immigration and customs enforcement agency, because when they apprehend you, you as the person, now you get for tell the whose country you come out. But if you not get proof of identity, say that country that you come out, if you tell them say you come out of Sierra Leone, the onus is on the American border agency or whatever you call them. We call them border agency now, or immigration, for contact Sierra Leone embassy, the embassy in America, for say, we get Mr. A, Mr. X, Mr. Z, we come out alone. And we want care and go back na salon. So in order for confirm whether that person is a Sierra Leonean. Now make sure we get embassy. The only thing I feel say the Salon government for do, we get information attached in the embassy, then we got that people them. So then for say, okay, when they get anybody we claim to be Sierra Leonean, we forget somebody in our embassy where then they interview that person there, we go able to verify the person's actual nationality. And once that verification is done, if the person not gets any up-to-date document for travel, then the government can issue that person the travel permit or travel authorization for letting them go back. But all them processes and the initiative will come from the other government. Just like you say, if we set up a tripartite committee or this three agency, I'll call them three agency, for looking into this affair, that again for me says on them, this agency have to have representatives in the Sierra Leone embassy in America. Yeah, so you get for station and day. But we not see much help they will get if they are based in Sierra Leone. This is an issue where we get in the embassy, in a diplomatic mission, we get information attaché, we get chancery officers them. They should be the first link with the American Immigration Department. And if I agree, say whenever they say a Sierra Leonean or somebody who they claim to be a Sierra Leonean is due for deportation, that verification process is there for do. I don't see any reason for set up the committee. That is my own view.
Well, I support your position because I don't see any reason. I think there are better things to do for improved governance. But this is not part of a government and responsibility. Then the time for take up responsibility, we no spell out for them. We're not to the union. It could be good for spend that same amount of time and energy there for maybe this diaspora, the diaspora connection to be streamlined and improved. If the committee maybe is being set up for that, how to improve the relationship with the government, between the diaspora and the government, and how to make it work efficiently, because the government sees the diaspora as a component of progress. That can be, I think, that can be accepted or understood, but not this thing about overstay. And particularly in America. Why just America? Sierra Leoneans then would go other part of the countries, then they, one way or the other, then they overstay. But now the country they would, and then the problem down there, not a William problem. I think, in fact, some of the countries then they will not tolerate that, because it will be in violation of the law if we try for and tell them. And that in the spirit of cooperation, I think the United States, for example, can able get a system whereby the first time you enter the country, then can put you in a database. We go daily for eternity for the country where you come out, then forget. That's why when you enter, then they look your passport, then they get so many ways. So once they don't take information on that passport, they whether by a pictorial information or just in print of some sort, that should be for a lifetime. So if down the line, 10, 15, 20 years later, you get tangled up with the immigration system, they should be able to go back and retrieve that information there and produce that document there. If it's a page, if the biographic page out of your passport you take into the country, for say, here, we have evidence, this person is a Sierra Leonean, this is the information we'll get on him. So will you please issue him a traveling document, if not a passport, so we can get him out of here? That may be reasonable, but it looks like the country for keep that information there. The country where the person can't overstay, not to we own country for set up a high level, quote unquote, high level committee for what? For people who overstay in another country? Since we stand we own government forget that responsibility there. So the thing to me, it seems highly suspect. I know two things say make sense at all. Not to the China for spend time on. Sierra Leone get a lot of problems. But this overstay in a foreign country is not one of our problems at all. And people naturally we come back home. If things are good, if there are opportunities, if life is going to be better, or if your life not will decline drastically from the way you are in a foreign country, maybe we would see the same thing back home. There are people, when I was growing up, there are people from various parts of Sierra Leone, from very small towns, like Pendembu, Kailan district where I grew up. People who were born and raised there. I went to Kenema Secondary School or Bo School or Koyema or somewhere, and they ended up in Freetown, working for the civil service. Okay? When they retired, they went back to the same small town, Pendembu, because they realized they could live comfortably, even though these were people who were living at Freetown for a long time. So we saw that a lot of times, or around Christmas time, people are always happy to go back to the small town. So now the condition where we get, now ain't gonna make people want for return. And that gonna make people that not want for return. So if we value diaspora them, that they get a significant contribution to make, one way or the other, then we for create the atmosphere for which we don't have to pass laws for Sierra Leoneans then for come, give we an opportunity to vote. Give we don't restrict we when we go into the country, we want to go into business. Then you get someone who is not a non-Sierra Leoneans where they go into the same kind of business. And will get a license in 3 days, make will get a license in 3 months for the same thing. When we're not they're not treat we equal. Me when I'm a country down there, I'm advocating equal treatment of the law, but we're not to the practice down there. So some of them practices and they of certain respective government that they will avoid create an atmosphere of encouragement and appreciation. You get diasporans then with the lifetime savings where they don't make abroad, then they go home and they build house and they open businesses, and yet some of them people then get some real hard stories for tell you how they get dupe. We don't see situations where you get top government officials, the flim flam businessmen, and then officials, and they still hold on to the civil service job or whatever, where they should be terminated immediately. So these are some of the things. So I won't waste too much time to go from high level committee for people who overstay in America. America get the money, they get the time, they get the expertise. They don't need we help. They can do that. They can do what you would talk about. So, and they're not going to even need for form a high level committee. They can form the lowest level committee and run a system efficiently for deal with overstays. There are variety of reasons why American government they look the other way for overstays. It's not that they're not aware of it. It helps their economy. There are some positive aspects. They overstay there and they pay taxes. Then they pay Social Security. They're not going to ever collect because they're not legally employable. So a lot of things. So the country knows and they do. Let we just stay out of American man and get to saying we don't have a dog in the fight. Then we just stay out of the fight, the dog fight. That's all I can say. So back to you, Mr. Mingot.
Okay, thank you very much. Still on this diaspora theme, now go back to the second part. The second topic we want to talk about, we will look at in three different aspects. Because when we get the civic engagement in America, our Minister of Transport announced say they go review the $25 tax what they pay for enter and exit the country. He said they go review, but let's give the background to that and let's also make people then know. Because they say the reason why they want to do that, but then they go reduce the costs of traveling. That is just one small aspect. This first part, we go look at how this $25 come about. Secondly, the different taxes they pay for with tickets, and also the whole business of the airport management. Because so we don't get this new airport where they don't talk, say, they make a lot of promises. Say you go employ over 2,000 people, right? They go able to take 3 million passengers within a period. Not only that, but recently we see when they get budgetary hearing, the clerk for Potloko district, the administrator, complain say the local districts where the airport they know the benefits. In fact, waiting them in the give themselves under the previous arrangement, they know they get it again. So we go and dissect something and they tell the family they're waiting and they happen. Let's start first with the $25 tax. That $25 tax that we talk about, it came about due to a letter which was dated on the 26th of August 2022, reference MIA/01/41, when have been press release from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, payment of airport security of $25 by inbound and outbound passenger at the Freetown Airport. Initially, when they make the announcement, some of we be raised even at this issue because they're saying that Security Port now the company we're responsible for provide, according to the government, data on passenger movement, security, where include CCTV and other measures then for monitor the airport. And they may not exist before we transfer ownership to the airport under a bill operate and transfer to the Suma group of companies. So that $25 day was negotiated by the Ministry of Internal Affairs, not the Ministry of Transport. So if the Ministry of Transport, they tell me, say, then they review them, it is not under its jurisdiction. It would have said we are reviewing this in collaboration with the Ministry of Internal Affairs. So that $25 day is not just one tax. Now look at where you buy your tickets in a saloon, waiting, you pay for another ticket day. When I make sure the ticket price there. Included in the ticket price is a passenger service charge, which is about $25, right? Where they increase down there to $35 effective from the 1st of March 2024. You also get what's called airport development charge. Airport development charge when a $5 where they increase by 1 year, by $1 every year for 33 years. I don't know why they put that 33 years there. So if you talk about airport development charge, if we don't go now, we don't bring somebody who can build this airport. They say they spend $270 million for building the airport. Then they manage the airport for getting money back. So why we get forget a separate charge for airport development? It is their role, because if they're not they're in charge of them, then they get for maintenance. Because then they collect income from the airport, from the airline, them and all that thing. Then we get airport safety fee. That is distinct from this security fee. Because the airport safety fee is $20 per passenger. Then apart from that, we get what they call aviation security charge per international departing passenger. All in at the ticket. Then, of course, this security pass fee went at $25. Initially, when they make the announcement, they may say they will get a system of online payment for pay directly to security port. But then some of we raise the issue, say, under our constitution, nobody else can raise tax or fee without the approval of Parliament. The government get for do them. And Parliament have been talk about that. They been get that debate today. So then change it now, where you have a situation whereby when you land in an airport, in a salon, then get a bank where they get where they don't get arrangement with. When a day you go pay that $25, they then give a receipt. Where you get security personnel then at Dumont, where they check you, they show them that receipt there before they allow you for pass come out na do. The same thing they happen where they can inside back. You get for pay and back there, and when they go through the check-in and immigration, you get for show say you pay, show say you don't pay that security fee. So the question is, all these taxes, not to just one thing and get for look at, we get for look at the complete structure of the NCRA name, so we go bring taxes can down. And let me tell you, say when they bring this new airport, it will increase tourism. Is it the other way around? Not only the government for create the environment for tourists for come, you know what attract tourists. So these are the issues before we go to the second part now, where I want to talk about the management of the whole complex and this complaint where the Potloko district make about not benefiting from the airport as they may do before. So I was able to explain to Fambul them who they involved in airport management and waiting at the role. Bear in mind also, when we signed this agreement with Suma group of companies for 25 years, there is some aspect now that agreement they will talk about corporate social responsibility. So where is that going? Also, where are all the people away for benefit? Because the people in Apollo now, they cry foul. So over to you, sir, of which I don't say if you are Rob Motpandis, then I go make Fambul know the management structure of the whole airport complex, the relationship between 4 different agencies, and that to extent responsible for why using an airport is more expensive for airlines than other neighboring airports. Because we see people in the travel, instead of go Freetown, they go Guinea. From Guinea, they either travel by road or they travel by sea. So is it not time for we for review all lengthening and not just one aspect when at the $25 charge? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, can you clarify for us? There is a 33-year commitment to the airport tax. One part of the airport tax.
That is airport development charge.
For 33
which
years?
Is $5. So it increased by $1 yearly for 33 years. I don't know how they peg that 33 years in.
That was going to be my question, because I think the term of the agreement with the Suma Group up to 25 years.
It's 25 years. 25.
Okay, so the 33-year seem to be not look consistent with the overall understanding of the way and the setup it's an outlier. Let me put it that way, because it not look consistent with any figures that we would already see. 33 years seem to be odd. We don't know why they picked 33 years, but that's what it is. We just raised that question there. Why 33? I remember saying Sunday before able to tell we what happened. Now, but with respect to what you talk, so I mean, sometimes it's just hard to understand certain things. I just wish we can just do what it takes for move forward, and let's see progress. And progress means employment, and lifting people them up from the current economic conditions to better paying jobs, what will lead to better housing, better education, and so on. So again, it would seem to me, because you look the layout, at least three security-related airport taxes would pay. If I'm wrong, correct me again. Look at least 3 airport security-related taxes would pay.
Okay, yes. Okay, you get air safety fee.
Yes.
Which is $20. They get security port pass fee when at $25. Yeah? When they go to security port. Then the other one, now passenger service charge. Yeah. Then you get air navigation charge. And I'm going to explain how that air navigation charge they can inside.
And which one is the aviation security fee? Is it any different from? I think you mentioned aviation security fee.
Airport safety fee. Airport safety fee.
Safety fee. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So my understanding is that airport safety fee, now for things that when they provide for make you airport safe. Because who are responsible for make the airport safe? Now the people that when they manage the airport. Okay. Now, when they ask that question, let's give the 4 different agencies the way they manage the airport. what we get before and what we get now, right? Before the coming of the SUMA group of companies, right, we get Sierra Leone Airports Authority, a single authority, when them been manage the airport because it was outrightly owned by us. So waiting at Sierra Leone Airport Authority, they own role at the time before SUMA group come. And then be responsible for make sure say them provide, they manage the airport facilities. Say on one hand, the ancillary services where they provide for airport operations, things to do with cargo handling, passenger handling, air traffic control services, search and rescue, and air navigational facilities. Because not just the plane that they land, they make use of their services, and because air traffic control, they provide services for both plane where they land and plane where they overfly with territory. Right? Now down there, now in there na the ticket where come per each passenger get for pay that air navigation charge. So you get Sierra Leone Airports Authority when them in there for all lengthening. They will be get two other agencies when are Westminster Security, right? In fact, the present director of aviation, he been work for Westminster Security. Then you get Security Port. As far as I know, Westminster Security, the one that we don't travel, now they them people, now they get them people there where they do passport verification. We meet things in an unnecessary services. Because now the only country that West zone they will get them kind of services they provide them. It was a temporary gesture because when we been get the war, and after we don't get the water over, there was this complaint say a lot of Sierra Leoneans people and they will get Sierra Leone passports where they use for apply for refugee status all in a different country. Them. So this now was under the Cabal regime. So we make an arrangement whereby you get an independent agency when at this Westminster Security where they verify your passport. But all that they don't do now. Why do we still retain their services? Then you get security ports when at then they pay that $25 to. Well, according to what they explain, then they for deal with data, and then they provide the system for data management. You know, so where you go through, and then supply the system to immigration, where they know who that they come in and who that they come out. And then they take monitor the passenger throughput. Then they do other security service. So now the three agencies they are under. But where we can get SUMA group of companies, SUMA group of company can take the overall management of the airport, but the aspect for deal with air navigation, fire and rescue services, air traffic control, still stay with Sierra Leone Airports Authority. So by right, Sierra Leone Airports Authority get for charge SUMA group of company because they get the overall responsibility for managing the airport for their services they provide. And SUMA group of company, part of the agreement with the government, I say, well, let them still retain the other ancillary service providers there. Where now the Westminster Security and Security Port. So then in additional money where somebody get for pay for. All that they had to the cost of air ticket. So now the situation down there.
Well, how do we link? Okay, when we talk about international flights, mostly when we talk at this stage, when we talk about air tickets, now mostly flying in and out of Sierra Leone. But there was a time we talk about. So is the idea of internal flights just completely abandoned? We will not have internal flights, or there will be no. Could then be the talk about transportation, air transportation. So when we talk about air transportation, should we just rule out the likelihood or in the immediate future of internal flights as we used to have? Or they're not there in the plans?
Well, as far as I know, there is never a time we don't get any pronouncement about developing an internal aviation service. We've been getting in the past.
Indeed.
And that was at the time when I was working as an air traffic controller. So what we've been get Hastings Airport or airfield, or we go call an aerodrome. That's another way for a smaller airport or airfield. When at the end of the day, most of the internal flights they mean start from, because they don't mean they can Lunge are more of international. So we get Hastings, then the other aerodromes that we get in the north, we get Kabbalah, then we get Bo in the south, we get Kenema, we get Tongo, we also get Bonth in the south. So we had a network of aerodromes then for internal flights. At that time, we had Sierra Leone Airways, where Sierra Leone Airways, when they use them plane, then they Trilander plane, where are more propeller engines then. And then plane they operate what they call in aviation term, using VFR. What's in a VFR? Visual flight rules. What's in a visual flight? It means say when the pilot they fly the plane, again known landmarks, and they fly at a particular height, mostly between 3,000 and 5,000 feet. But also it also rely partially on ground navigation. Then away one land. Whereas if you talk about the international flight, then they use IFR, which are instrument flight rules, which means they completely depend on things like with VRR, we have VHF, omnidirectional radial range. You think about the ILS, you think about the NDB, non-directional beacon. So there's never been any effort for revive with internal air transport system. And in fact, some of them place them themselves, who said that airfield them there. I'm sure if we do a survey, we will find out see they don't get a massive encroachment on them property there, which should have been property belonging to, at the time, which was the Civil Aviation Department, when I've been working under Ministry of Transport. Now they're supposed to be under Sierra Leone Airports Authority. So that's the answer to your question, sir, although long-winded.
Oh, no, right. Very explanatory, because sometimes we need to understand, again, going back to this committee formation that we see time and again in almost every facet of governance in Sierra Leone. Why so many committees being formed? Why isn't government in the position of just taking the baton and move on? Because if the ministry already is adequately staffed with people capable of carrying out the responsibilities and activities of a department, I don't see any reason why all of a sudden, for something as simple as people overstaying in a foreign country, Sierra Leone overstaying in a foreign country, a high level, not even a high level, so described, committee to be formed for deal with overstay in a foreign country, will not get any effect, any adverse effect on we. Because the worst that will happen for Sierra Leoneans then, and we just send our citizens them back to where they didn't come out. So it's not like it's detrimental to the system at all. So why we take that and make them a priority and want to begin to form committees? And I'm particularly concerned if this committee is being formed are not are committees for which people are being paid. Again, it's a waste of revenue. It's unnecessary. So that's just it's not. That's just what I just want to throw in terms of this issue of the talk about. Because and then the other question I have for you, Mr. Mengot, in terms of aviation, we see where the latest thing with the airline with it fly with the Sierra Leonean flag or emblem, but supposedly it's not, the Sierra Leonean government has nothing to do with it. It's a wholly owned, privately run business, but it carries the name of the country as Air Sierra Leone or something to that effect. So I just get a question. Should we as a nation allow that to happen? I mean, I don't know whether it implies the same. Sierra Leone Airways, whether it carries the same meaning as Air Sierra Leone. So those distinctions, I don't know if you could make for we, but it's just like a maritime situation, like ships, whereby a ship can fly under a certain country flag. So I don't know whether the same applies to airlines or aeroplanes. But I know,
Oh,
like anything else with airlines, there are some safety requirements that countries have to meet to put something where they travel by air or by sea under the name of Sierra Leone or the country. So my question simply is, in the aviation term, is it acceptable that an airline to which the government has no connection, of which the government has no connection, that airline can be called Air Sierra Leone or Sierra Leone Airways? I'm just curious if that is an appropriate labeling, because I think right now we have Air Sierra Leone, and we understand that the government has nothing to do with it. It's a privately run, wholly owned, privately run enterprise. So is the name given to the airline appropriate, or should, by law, should not be required to be flying as if it's a national airline? It's just a question.
okay, I think I'll go to that then. I think say the other part we will get for discuss later on. Now this issue about the benefits where the Potloko district for expect from this airport operation. But let me answer this your question first, and I'll give people in the background. You see, the aviation industry, the airlines, there's been a lot of changes. Giving back from my own time, we've been there directly involved almost 4 decades ago. In the past, countries them or regions them, they got what we call national carrier or regional carrier. Like give an example. We all remember say in America, we been get Pan American Airlines, right? Pan American Airlines, at least the government of America probably had some kind of shares in that airline. In Britain, we had two main ones, which was British Caledonian and British Airways. The two merged, and we get one when a British Airways where government will get, but as time goes on, government sell off in shares. So government not get no hold in the British Airways. The same good France, we even get Air France and UTA. UTA means Union Transport Aérien, right? Air France. So as time goes on, the same with Brussels Airlines. We now be Sabina. Now instead of Sabina, they call her SN Brussels. You get Australia, you get Qantas. So what we've moved from a situation we get from national carrier to what we call flag carrier. Flag carrier means say when that Sierra Leone. A flag carrier means it is an airline that is given the privilege to use the country name and national flag. But then forget that privilege there, just like how you get flag of convenience in the shipping industry. There has to be some kind of agreement between the government and the airline. So Air Sierra Leone is 100% private, but it's a flag carrier, which means waiting at the benefits. Then benefit from with bilateral air services agreements we'll get with other countries then. So in other words, now make sure Air Sierra Leone able use all the air services agreement for fly along the west coast of Africa. Because we signed bilateral treaty with that country there for reciprocity, then serve the airline can fly. Now we the government, now we they nominate whose airline we they get for benefit from that. For now, Air Sierra Leone they fly between Freetown and Lagos only in the west coast. When it comes to the UK, right, the way they did it is that they are leasing an aircraft from Ascend on their wet list, but they still go fly as Air Sierra Leone. So the agreement, some of the concession we then give them, na preference where you get that flag carrier. Like for instance, I give you Britain, for example. British Airways is not owned by the Britain, but because it's a flag carrier, they get first priority for use Heathrow, when one of the most international airport. In fact, the whole of Terminal 5 is being operated by British Airways. So similarly, I believe say the agreement we signed between Sierra Leone and Air Sierra Leone, then get some preferential treatment in terms of probably reduced landing charges and also then so now that's not the whole agreement. But when there's this thing where you call about the branding image. Because if you get an airline where they carry a brand, because we then call it Sierra Leone, it means say we will give them that privilege for make sure say they operate according to particular standards of safety and also provide services for customer. So now that's not the difference between a national carrier, because now you don't have national carriers anymore. Most airlines then are flag carriers, and Air Sierra Leone now a flag carrier for Sierra Leone because there's no other airline where they use the name Sierra Leone or can use with national flag on their logo or on their planes the way they use. So that's the difference.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mengoch. So now are we going to touch on, well, you were going to talk on the
okay, let's go to the Potloco system now.
Correct.
Right. Now, this now when they do budget hearing, because the government they encourage local government, which they call own source revenue. So how does local government get a revenue? Then they get subvention from government, right? But also government they encourage them for let them do the economic development and development plan and for benefits from tax businesses the way they operate in the area, business taxes, and also, of course, property rates. So what the people from Potloco been say, when we been get when Suma group of companies been there, remember so you been get businesses them where they operate at the airport, which we are no longer under the direct supervision of Sierra Leone Airports Authority. You remember say if you been take that airport, you been see restaurant that been there around where people operate where they at the approach to the airport. Then people and they been forget business licensing and they pay tax to the Potloco Authority. Right? But now under this group, this new arrangement, right, there's no such facilities. If you go to the airport, association don't travel there. As far as me concerned, outside the airport, now one green restaurant there. And that restaurant there, then they rent the premises from the Suma group of companies. And government may not make some arrangement where you give them some certain tax concession. Not only that, because the airport there within the Potloco district, then suppose as a Sierra Leone Airport Authority they do, for they pay certain fee like business tax or whatever, because they're business, to Potloko District Council. If that's not the case, if government don't give them concession, now make sure they forget what they call CSR, corporate social responsibility. Which in that they can contribute to other development facilities in the area, like even health centers, hospital, schools. Now down there, don't cut. So government get for look at waiting Potloko District been a benefit before Sumac take over, where they not lost, and how for compensates them for that loss of revenue. So these are the issues, because the Potloko District, according to the report, they say they don't raise the issue with the local government minister. Because remember, the local government, the district, they under local government and community affairs. But the airport, everything for do with the airport is under the Ministry of Transport. So as they say now, an interministerial committee therefore sit down and look at the current operation of the airport and the revenue generated, and waiting to go to Potloko District. Because at the day, in terms of how they will benefit from such a huge economic activity that they're within the districts. So that is the seriousness of the thing. That is the bone of contention. So I think say we have to also look at any agreement we'll get. Parliament get the right? For even they call the airport authority people them, for go back to the agreement for see if they meet the agreement. Not for change them, because if there's an agreement there for provide CSR in a corporate social responsibility, if they not do them, that should be taken up. Because I remember at one time there was a report even where say the Suma group of companies then build new control tower, but now the facilities them now the old control tower and then put there. So when they do an audit report, the audit commission will realize say the promise where they make for upgrade the equipment at the control tower, they didn't do it. So when we sign the agreement here, which is bilateral agreement, things for to build up, now the regulatory system now we get intact, get people, professionals them, wait for monitor for let them keep to the agreements. And at that now the situation with the whole airport management. And some of the issues already come up, especially this one where the Potloko District they raise.
That's now in line with what we touched on earlier. This issue raised by the Potloko District officials, then I am not in favor. But don't you think in the order of priority, that should be more of a high-powered committee being set up, if a committee needed to be set up, because you're talking about loss of revenue and the ability or the deprivation of the ability to make improvements. So if we talk about setting up of committee, to me, that seems to be of more necessity than the committee will be talk about in relation to the other matters. But this one,
well, I think there's an interministerial committee according to the report, and other than that, the interministerial committee, because for the whole issue, you get when it comes to security matters, now the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Now make sure I say even that $25 tax will they talk about. Now they negotiate our security report. So when you talk about interministerial committee for the airport, yeah, you get the Ministry of Transport, when at the principal ministry, with anything for do with the operations, because the other agencies them, like Civil Aviation Authority, Sierra Leone Airports Authority, they're all under the mandate of the Ministry of Transport. So the interministerial committee where they in existence, now Ministry of Internal Affairs, Security, Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Local Government and Community Affairs, and of course, Ministry of Finance for the another committee. Because this is something to do with revenue generation and all that thing. So how effective are they in holding the Suma group of companies to any previous agreement where they sign, especially when it comes to things to do with taxes, corporate social responsibility, and other issues where them people here put local there is. So that is the issue. They have interministry coordination, but how effective are they? Because they can only be effective as far as looking into the agreement where we sign with the SUMA group of companies. And that agreement, enough for be in perpetuity, it should be subject to review, like all other international agreements, on a periodic basis by Parliament. And Agladi, the Potloko district, raised this issue during budgetary hearing. Let's see whether the parliamentarians will consider them and see if there's anything amiss in the whole agreement, if what was promised is not being delivered.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mengot. Now, I think we can move to this diaspora investment.
Okay.
Don't we?
Yes, I think so. That's the third part of we discussion. And we talk about this diaspora investment in the context that say we will not get a committee, and we don't get a similar conference in Canada. Because arranging this conference is good, but which lack work inform them conferences there. Now a follow-up. But with this now, we see say, just like we said, Sierra Leone diaspora about shaping policy, investment, and national development. And for reviewers them, this conference where we talk about now the UK is going to take place, they call it Sierra Leone Diaspora Investment Network event, where they take place on the 15th of October 2025. Well, it's in the evening, which is very good because some people won't come out. Because you get 5:30 p.m. when at the welcome address registration. You get the official start at 6 p.m. Then you get the keynote speaker when at the chief minister. Then, of course, then get means for people who attend for register online. So, but my own question is, why now? If governments don't say they will encourage diaspora, I am one person who always believe in going back to things that we already have. And I think say if we encourage diaspora, we therefore see waiting now the things that we go encourage diaspora, waiting the government will not promise. And as you can say, even the Bible, you get the beginning, you get Genesis, yeah, and the last verse of the Bible, now Revelation. So before we go to Revelation, let's look at Genesis. And we can look at each of the issues here. Because when President Bio came to power in 2018, and let's make it known to our viewers then, that diasporans that they run the country. Right? Because President Bio himself spent over 2 decades in the diaspora. You look at the ministers then, they've all lived in the diaspora, worked in the diaspora, including the Chief Minister, David Senge, including the Minister of Information, Alphaba, what's his name? Siba, sorry. Yeah. You take even the current Minister of Foreign Affairs, Timothy Kaba, I should say he spent some time overseas. You name all of them. And why is it important? Because according to statistics we'll get, in 2023, diaspora remittance, then are official, was $321 million, which is estimated to be 6.8% of GDP. Then are official. But there are lots of other where remittance they go, which cannot be tracked. Because you get people that way we self know, we get Sierra Leoneans the week, you say, bo, the family then a tongue, get so amount, you get account in the UK, you pay in a UK account. Transactions are done and they are not
reported.
verified. Or sometimes, you say, you know, say when you say the travel go home, you tell some people and say, boy, they go home. People then go give envelopes, say, boy, go give me family the money in cash. You go give them dollars. And by the way, it's not illegal for travel with hard currency, but you know for travel above, as I know, not more than $10,000 a time. So we get handy. But when President Bio come, he come with a 5-point plan for the diaspora, the involvement. Number one, we can look at it. It said in the review, the mandate of the diaspora office and invalidity. Because remember, say under Ernest Koma, we get office of the diaspora. But we not see that mandate there. That office no longer exists. Because if you want to get diaspora engagement, like what we not start as they can say, government a continuity.
Yep.
You can get people in that office there. But when this government can then get another different people in, then go parliament, then pass a bill for create the National Investment Board, when a completely new agency. And who then are the chairman of the board? Now the president. So you get the chairman of the board being the president, and we know how busy that man they did. So how effective that board they did. You get other agencies then where they deal with like Sleeper, Sierra Leone Institute of Export and Promotion Agency. You get all the one in there. You know, but they may say where they get this National Investment Board now for coordinate all the activities in there. What in Sleeper they do, what in corporate affairs. So there is not what you will call a one-stop shop for deal with the concerns of diaspora. Then are the first thing. Then also, President Bio in second point will say he wants diasporans then for involve and participate in governance. Well, of course, we belong get a system where diasporans they can vote. Now we see the newer way they come it. Then they talk about voting where we are. And that we don't discuss in our previous program. We still wait for the details. As I can say, the devil is in the detail. Because we already said they get together and they go parliament. And by the way, when they don't tell, we say 80% of the tripartite agreement we deal with elections management, including recommendation 79, we deal with diaspora voting. They say they don't draft the law, we for go parliament. None of we not see the law yet. So man no go analyze something where you don't know about. And this place we believe in facts and reference. The third thing we be saying go do is say go mobilize highly skilled Sierra Leoneans for knowledge and skills transfer in the diaspora. Knowledge and skills transfer. Under Pakaba, we get a UN system. Top 10. Transfer of knowledge to Pakaba user. And Anes user to some extent. Now that makes sure even when you take a man like Dr. Mara been working in the Commonwealth Secretariat. Now from there, he go become chief of staff to President Nkrumah. Well, later on, he come into politics and he become minister. So the diaspora is the way they go. Not just skills that they go for. We get the one that most of them, they focus now for go get privileged appointments or go into politics. The next thing is say, he go set up, he go mobilize and leverage Sierra Leone diaspora business community for investment and trade in Africa, in Sierra Leone. But we all know there's a lot of stories about diaspora investment or even Sierra Leone investment. Remember what we see recently? That video we're talking about now this place where that man invests in a resort. When a part of that resort there, we've been discussing at this program. where them go demolish. Then say a part of the land where them put aside for the fish harbor, where they don't give the Chinese. So all this thing where they talk na lip service. So if governments want for diaspora involvement, not to alter with occur in the investment conference here. And by the way, not to all man get time for go there conference and there. Diaspora involvement therefore be a continuous engagement. And when you look at business, for me for go invest in business, certain things in there, I don't go to Sierra Leone. I don't try for do other things them. I don't try for carry even the skills transfer part of my work. I know what I experience. But when they talk about business, the issue they get for look at issues for do with taxes. It might surprise you to know where you go register for business in a salon. You get for register with NRA and all that, which is nothing wrong about that. You get for register with NACIT and all the rest. At times, then it asks you for estimate your tax upfront. So taxation now other clear thing.
Wow.
Because if we the give incentive to Russians and the Chinese and the Egyptians for can do business, especially this business in our country, diaspora will equally do the same thing. But what incentive? Secondly, the issue of if you don't go do your business, you make money. Sometimes some of the investment where I go come on at this country and my pound sterling or dollar, how easy would it be for me to repatriate my profits? Currency stabilization or other thing. Because if we get problem with the volatility of the leons, it means if I go invest $1 million, right, and I trade in leons, if the leons devalue, I not get value for my money. The other issue we'll get for consider, now things to do, we don't talk for long, things to do with stock exchange. Most African countries, they get stock exchange. We Sierra Leone, don't talk to her about that for the past 3 decades. Because when you get a stock exchange, we know say most investment in some country, now through the stock exchange, the stock market. We got other things to do with diaspora invest in government bonds. But how reliable are those? The transparency, another thing. So the government therefore creates the environment, the enabling environment for encourage diaspora to go invest. Take things like housing, right? Housing a key area where diaspora can invest. Affordable housing. Just like how we get the man from Gambia, tough investment, we don't go invest in us alone. Diaspora can equally do that. But the issue is, most of these investments we want to go do, the bureaucracy and issues to do with cabinet approval. Now that me not understand. You know, because certain things, oh well, we get for go to cabinet, get for cabinet, get for approve. You know, that's all again a disincentive to diaspora. So we as diaspora, if we get for go take part, these are the sort of things. Let's improve our way to get. Let's look at the National Investment Board. Waiting for stop them now for actually said that they can to like how they can do this investment conference. Get people there. Why would they get economic attaché in our embassy? That is what they should be doing. With embassy and the High Commission, the economic attaché them for the work with the investment board and then people and they get access to diaspora, find out what we need. So I don't want this to be an open talk shop and all the rest of it. So these are the issues. So the lines are open. People are already listening to we. This is an opportunity for Lena come in, can tell we. If you're interested in investing in Sierra Leone, what do you think is an obstacle? Or if you're not interested, what will make you not interested? So with them points here where I don't put so, I think we can discuss them from your own part. one-stop shop, the demise of the diaspora office, things to do with taxation, currency exchange, and all that. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much again, Mr. Mengot. Yeah, because there is so much to discuss with respect to the diaspora. You just quoted a figure of about $360 million, which is a substantial amount of money that we're remitting back home. Okay, and that's just the official figure. So, I mean, that figure can go as high as probably $500 million, with respect to the remaining maybe $140 million of remittances and back home. So, with that level and that frequency and that consistent movement of remittances, we get for channel that into constructive, mutually beneficial result for the country as well as for we the diaspora. So, like you say, and I'm glad you pointed it out, because I will take a call pretty soon. But I'm glad you pointed it out in the sense that most of the people in government today were part of the diaspora. And I think what creates this stagnation or retrogression is because these diasporans, when they go home, they're not to go with any specific objective in terms of making contribution to the country. They see the country as, like President Kennedy be say, it's not President Kennedy say, ask not what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country. But it looked like for we, particularly diasporans, who are in fact the power holders, political power holders in Sierra Leone, and it appears as if they are asking what is in it for me. Not what I can do for my country, but what my country can do for me. And it's disappointing because we see the diaspora that should be part and parcel of government's activities and progressive measures them. We see sometimes the diasporans are even being made opposition to the government. We're not to say for B. So let me just hold that thought there. They will just talk about, let me take a call or from a caller and then we'll move on. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where the call from?
Good evening. This is Fudi Mustafa from Leicester. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Mustafa. Thanks for calling.
The thing we had to talk about here is the fact that we do all anything there, but just like Mr. Mengot pointed out just there, you see the president and the head of the committee with them form for, investment or waiting. I don't know how they call it again.
Yeah. Chairman of National Investment Board.
Yes, this is not just created now. We are talking of 1991 Constitution, where for take away the powers of the president. All of the constitutional review they talk about, and they talk about one for take away the powers of the president. This is the reason why everything they fail. What thing president for do it again? They don't get trade ministry. They don't get all of those things when they go and pay people them for. Now the president for go sit on again. Look at all the things they willing to do to the people that we don't invest in the country. Where people them look at them go broke that guy and host them for Black Johnson. The diaspora go invest there. Look at the way they treat Jagaban. When a diaspora come out to.
Indeed.
Look at the way they treat Malado.
Indeed.
The business people, but as long as these people they know the pandemic party, these people cannot do business. So this all willing to do so, now just waste of resources. They say chief minister they can't pay. I'm just a council lawyer. We the one they now we don't take the courage for go do business at the country. Not only encourage them so that other people then go come there for can do business. When they do anything there, so unless I me get $1 million, if you say I go there, and I go there. Go just now they go look for say which other man come out say no check boy accent first bar. This man he must be saying a APC man this. So therefore they no win do am, so no jaga this man. These people are not serious for run this country, for let this country progress. A simple thing. President for come up all anything there, and I make them the people in the go school, then they learn. When they learn, then they become specialists in the things they when they go study. Like we get the agriculture ministry way for full of policies, but today now the president the policy, then everything that the president who's I must subject the Sabi now. I must feel the Sabi we specialize on. All thing this president, this thing will not cry say the 1991 constitution was not much different from the one party state constitution, apart from election time, but and parties. But this one now, way they try for make them try reform the constitution so that things then go work. They don't want to First of all, when they don't talk say a review committee, when I don't give a mandate, which they take out now, when I just take that book, that document when I use that. But now government for pick and choose, and it's deny that one, they don't want that. Matter you know, but both of them, the powers of the president, no one touch it. So our business will prosper. How so anything that country they do, we know we get a political connotation. They are not ready yet for the book. Even just for the last one, Mr. Mengo talk about that 360 something million for remittances.
Remittance, yeah.
If you check the budget of Salud, now about half of that money, that is how poor Sierra Leone state is. Now half of because before now 880 million, now the Sierra Leone budget, but because the dollar don't come down, don't go up so much against the Leone, it don't come down significantly lower. So that one we talk about so now for tell you see the diaspora when they try for like you say we not a part of the Sierra Leone people now we the contributor that much, almost half of the budget. We busy monthly money what we send now in calculation of the year say now this week. And the last point we are going to on this GDP, the GDP figure is never correct in that country because many can't see how then they calculate the GDP that then country they are. They're going to say Saloon GDP is poor and grossly underrepresented. Thank you very much.
All right. Before Mr. Menga say anything, let me just add, what we talk about remittances, there is also another aspect of diasporans, their contribution that to the country, because we also talk about goods, materials being shipped on a very, very high frequency to the country of all types. We can call, yes, so many things that we would send back home. That is just I don't even think there's a measurement or measuring way of determining how many goods are being shipped back home. And when we talk about the shipment of goods, besides the materials themselves coming to the country, we pay the costs are being paid to the government. I don't think that actually was taken into account when we talk about remittances. Because so the diasporans then wouldn't ship all them goods here to Sierra Leone. The port fees are also in the millions annually. So I mean, if you put together all what the diaspora to do, I don't see why any government not could take the diaspora as one of them vital partners in many things, not to even mention ideas, because some people indeed go there and then they get with great idea, then they put their own money on the line. As a matter of fact, let us say, I give an example. Even Mr. Mengot himself here, who doesn't want to tap himself on the back or the shoulder, but after the passing of his wife, whatever amount of money he had from different sources, including his own, he committed all of that to a wing. The Connaught Hospital, Mr. Mengot could better explain than me, but he donated all of that for help for do cancer research and kidney or whatever. But Mr. Mengot, I will leave that up to you. So, but they opened a wing to help others who will not fall the same fate of his wife. And there are a lot of Sierra Leoneans who are doing that too. So if we really want to put together all the money that we come here and then, and as Mr. Mengot say, money then we people and will say, give me family under, or pay somebody for me, I go give you now. You can double that $360 million there and say, you're talking about it's approaching like $1 billion. So any government should take the diaspora very seriously, both in terms of financial input into the economy and intellectual, mental, physical contribution, material contribution, where they make. Because I do know, say, that people are shipping tons and tons and tons of materials back home. So I just want to comment on that. So say in addition to the $360 million mentioned, with the saying, I mean, hundreds, if not thousands of containers back home yearly of materials of all sorts. The housing industry, somebody even mentioned that. I will project, this is just a wild guess, at least 40% of construction, housing construction going on in Sierra Leone are by diasporans, So there's a whole lot going on. So I think a lot should be encouraged of diasporans then, and then we forget more privileges then. And then when I say privileges, there's the privilege of going home and not going through a lot of red tapes. So it's diasporans creating all the limitations here for diasporans who have gone home. They are the ones who they create the impediments there, then boundaries there, the obstruction here, to those who want to come and do even better things. So, Mr. Mengot, I don't know if you want to make, if you have a comment. I was just going to say that.
But just as you say, there are lots the diasporas are doing, and I think, say, following this conference, in future we'll look for showcase some of the examples. There's a group where I belong to in a Freetown Central One group, where they get a project where they call BAD, I think that Bembres, Otin Street, Divya Street. These people have come together, both diasporans and people in back home, we make a significant contribution for improve the streets them, now the community. Then they improve the streets in the community, they put tarmac road, improve the drainage system. These are things which should be documented. And we'll talk about diaspora, law make it easy for people. Even in England now, which we don't get. We get different organizations. Think about the alumni associations, the different schools. I belong to two. Both St. Edwards of Prince of Wales, what we've done. Check the other organization, the village organization, the church organization, right? Like Boxing Church, Christ Church, Cathedral. They check the villages the way they come on. You get England, you get Lumley Descendants Association, you get Wilberforce, you get Regent, you get Hastings. There's so many things diasporans are doing. Now, I think, say, this is one of the reasons where you forget that we get to learn from each other. Some of the projects that we invest in, right, they are not sustainable. Why I say they're not sustainable? Sometimes we take one project, we fund them for 2-3 years, then when funding dry out, it doesn't continue. So, like, this is all the reason why somebody like me, I very much buy the idea there of the Office of the Diaspora, where the president will say, "Ingo review them." So the problem with we know they document some of them here where they do them good thing there. For instance, we get a set of American doctors then, where they go home, go provide free medical services on a regular basis. Then they contribute to the health system in the country. Remember the doctor Fatou Fona, we raised $4 million for get training in gynecology and obstetrics. Right? These are things that could be commended. And then consider there, these heroes of our time. Therefore, encourage people, and that's why you recognize these heroes and heroine in our society. But when it comes to even when they do civic award, you get, if you check the civic award, the way they do in a salon, like the Order of the Rokel or Grand 90% na politicians than they give. Right? They are the people that they give all the award, yeah? Right? It's as if this government and successive government not take the diaspora contribution seriously. I mean, let's learn from other countries. Take the Indians. They came to Silicon Valley in America. They went home and set up their own in Mumbai, right? Where a lot of business they flow to India when it comes to IT. It's also done in other parts of Africa. So, if we want to continue and encourage diaspora, first of all, we get for, even we want compatriots with people in back home, this idea of them and us, home base versus JC, it might be a joke. But again, apart from government, you will find out, say, a lot of the time when you come out diaspora go, you know, even the people that tongue them in get believe they say, well, we've been on there and how they can't tell what you for do. We get the Minister of Information, where I get one in slogan we like for say, and I go with that salon big pass we all. Although if you check and the tell get independence, some of we big pass salon.
Indeed.
And that's reality. But put salon first. The government get for create the environment. We as Sierra Leoneans, be in the diaspora or your home base, we get for establish trust. We get for begin work with each other. Even your family. When you talk about investment, I'm a transport man. Think about how many diasporas them don't invest in transport. The one way they buy poda keke for them people there. But it's not done on a coordinated basis. When we reform public transport, I was 1 year chairman of Wakafine, Metro Transport Company, which I created. There was an opportunity for diaspora for invest in transport. What happened? I had to resign because of lack of support from the very people that we to go help. So let's look at the industry. Me and Maui believe, say, if we serious, transportation, now one area where diaspora can invest. Now with the closed LRTC, Sierra Leone Road Transport Corporation, with people in the struggle for good at the regions, what's the use getting Kenema Descendants Association or Bonkolenken or Kono Development Association? Why can't these people come, say, okay, we will come up from Kono diaspora. Why don't we invest in affordable and safe transport for link Kono with other regions in the region? I'm open to consultation and ideas. I've been in the transport profession for 50 years. If we want to start, I can tell people and say transportation rather than rail transport when they talk. Road-based transport. diasporas get a lot of leverage for investing in that area. But the government nanga for create an enabling environment. The things then way then get the regulatory agency get for be good, the taxation system get for be appropriate. But if the government not come and create that thing and all this talk na lip service. But I go end here because we expect this diaspora conference for take place on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I might not be able to go, but people there will go report waiting at the outcome. Next Sunday we'll go meeting. So for now, I think say I not get much more for say on this whole thing. I hope say I enjoy the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mengot. As usual, every time we listen to you, I think we go away knowing more than we knew coming in. So I hope the people at large or the audience will get similar appreciation for the contribution and the knowledge we have for spread for to the rest of us. Because some of them things here, it take deep knowledge for be able to make the type of analysis then we to make. And these are genuinely analysis that we believe if adhered to or listened to or adopted, it would be beneficial to the whole country. And because they say many hands I go lift heavy load, so or make light work. So if we all contribute intellectually, because one thing we know physically, there's a lot of an overabundance of physical help back home. This is the reason why I even suggested on a good constructive planning with the Sierra market with the open. For example, we must take into account the fact that a marketplace has to be swept on a daily basis, cleaned up. The environment both inside and outside. And people will break tradition. Some man go throw a bottle outside, some man go throw a paper outside. So the officials then for take into account for maintain cleanliness by way of employing significant number of people who need the job to be cleaners, but pay them well because it's a dirty job. Not say because na low low educated kind of job, so you want to go hire the person and pay him $50 a month. That is cruelty. But if we can decide for pay an ordinary cleanup guy, at least somewhere in the realm of $150, $200, you get long line from Freetown all the way to Kailang, waiting to be hired. The same goes for the interior of this, the environment that I talk about, the outside, but the same goes for the interior of the Sewa market facilities. Toilets have to be cleaned, not necessarily on a daily basis, but maybe on an every hour, on the hour basis. Because human beings being what we are, people will come there, and people should be orientated how to use indoor plumbing. There is nothing embarrassing about that. The government will come up with ideas how for orientate people, because the vast majority of the people they not get indoor plumbing. So when they will get indoor, when we build toilet facilities indoor for the public, not only the rich then go use them facilities there, most likely not the poor. So we cannot just assume they know how to use them, because otherwise what will happen, as we see on the ferry, as we see what happened the Brookfield Stadium, as we see even in Bo when I was there, Coronation Field, the toilet facilities, people were defecating on the floors. Because some of these people were doing that because they didn't know how to use a commode. They're not familiar with it. They were not exposed to it. There's nothing embarrassing about that. What is embarrassing is when you go for using facility, you see feces on the floor. You see people underweight on the floor. So if we open a place like Sewa Market, as we've done also with the parking and lots na Lumley, let we understand, say, with that goes a lot of other responsibility. With that go a lot of other responsibilities of keeping it clean. So you don't want to go into the toilet, you can't use them. As soon as you go in there, it's so unhealthy that everything within you just freezes. And it happens. The ferry, people must have had that experience. A lot of them public place them because we do not take the time for orientate with people and find a way high enough people for keep these places consistently clean. That's what we see here. If you go to places like Disney World, all them places, then you know, go see one dirt at the floor, huge compound. Why? There are people who are hired. As you drop something at the floor, and then jump down there for pickup. Get people in for monitor the bathrooms and the surrounding, things will work. But if we not do that one day, the way dog come abroad, for whatever reason, we think, say, money doesn't need to be spent on that. And I advocate very much. It's a dirty job, so if people are going to be hired, in fact, if you want people in for like the job, now for pay them well. That would be one way of uplifting people. And so the same thing spread out. You can see some things in the street, and the gutters all then dirty the over the sea. Hire people, there's an overabundance of help or availability of labor. So we don't talk about that. This is not for the people who are home. We don't talk about we were there abroad, waiting a own contribution, but we're also suggesting ideas. Because what makes other countries, some of the things that make other countries great, now some of them here what we see are just ideas, you know. So cemeteries are badly kept, you know. This cemetery not just a simple ground. You can't country like this. You don't mind say, hey, man, when I die, let me to rest now. Decent. Generation upon generation upon generation, go visit your grave. So you're not going to worry, say, oh, it will disappear in the woods. These are things we can do. We're just reckless, we're just careless, we just don't care. And we should try for then responsibility here. All the advocates say, let government take the chance seriously. Everything cannot just be politics. All the focus cannot be in 2028. 2028, not to focus improve, but for just get a share of the spoils. That's the bad thing about it. So with that, I say good night. And thank you very much to my co-host. Thank you very much to my producers. And we hope for see you now next time, next Sunday, hopefully. And we'll go discuss other matters that we think are trending issues. Until then, good night.